made a video a couple years ago about how to find rafter lengths when you're building rafters, and had a lot of positive feedback on that. A lot of good comments and people asking me to make more videos, and my wife and kids encouraged me to make some more videos, so I thought I would try to make some and help people. But I want to kind of go back, touching on that one video, and this has to do with setting weld plates. I used to, we would just put, depending on the size of the plate, we would put 4 J-bolts or Nelson studs, whatever size plate, depending what we needed, in the corners and call it good. And then on pour day, you were always, if you got lucky, they fit. If not, you're having to cut them off and redo them. So what I started doing was just custom making them. Once my concrete guys got the steel in the ditches, then before the pour day, we would take time and we would custom build them. So you have a big plate, they may not can fit in the 4 corners, and you may need to put one way off like this. Maybe this one will fit up here in the corner, and let's say that if you're using a J-bolt, this J-bolt needs to turn that way. This J-bolt might need to come in like that, and let's say this one has to be way over here close to the corner. This J-bolt comes over here, and then this one's offset and goes that way. And maybe you want to put an extra one, or even go with a Nelson stud right here in the center. Just depends on your situation. But that way, when pour day comes, because everybody knows when they're pouring the concrete, it's hurry up and wait. And but when the time comes to set them, you don't want to be fighting it and having to cut legs off of there and guess, because you can't see because it's full of mud. So taking a little time ahead of time to build these plates, it makes all the difference in the world, because you know that they're gonna fit down in there. The other thing we do too is I set my own plates. I don't leave that up to the concrete guys. If they're jacked up, then it's on me, not them. So what we do is take a wood grip screw. If we've got our slab like that, of course the corner ones are easy, but if you have other plates going in here on the side of the form board here, we'll take and drill a wood grip screw to where that's the center of the plate. The reason I drill it in the side, we used to use nails. If you drive a nail in there, especially on the top, the concrete guys, when they're finishing, or before they're done finishing, a lot of times they will pull that nail out before you've had time to set your plate. So we just put them in the side because nobody jacks with them then. They're easy to see. Sometimes we'll even put a little orange ribbon through it just so the concrete guys know that, that's our little spot there. But when you're writing on these, or when you're marking these to weld on them, take a paint pen. I always keep a paint pen on me, white and a black one, but you take a paint pen and write on here, if this is your corner plate here, and let's just say this is a south end, then, I always put a mark like that right there, and then I'll write on here south. And if this is, let's say east over here, southeast, number 1, and then this would be southeast number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then, you know, you'll lay them off to the side while they're pouring. But once you're ready to set them, you just know they're going to set right down in where they're supposed to go. So anyhow, that's what I do on building the plates. And then when we shoot grade, I kind of covered that on that other video, but you've got to get your columns up in order to be able to measure in between them to build your rafters, at least once you get them built, to be able to cut them off. But once you get them stood up, you're going to measure in between and write that measurement down on the web for each one. Now, in theory, your tin lip or sheeting ledge should be straight, but I ain't never met a concrete guy that can get them, you know, straight. So you're always going to have a little bit of a wave to them, and that's okay, unless you're 6 inches off. I mean, if you're anywhere from 1/8 to even 3/4 of an inch or so, hell, even an inch, it's not going to make that much difference. You're never going to notice it after the building's up. So, but you try to keep it less than an inch difference. So you stand your columns up, and then you're going to shoot grade with your transit. And I try to keep it always between me and the same guy, or one guy, instead of multiple people. I just find that it works better that way. You kind of get used to working with each other. But anyways, once you set your transit up and you're shooting grade, you're going to put that soap mark. He'll be standing there with a square next to the beam, marking it for you. Then we put an R. He puts that mark up on the beam, and then we put an R, and that stands for reference mark, because you're going to get different marks in here for wall purlin or windows or doors, whatever. And a lot of times, if we know rain's coming, or if you really don't want it to get erased, I'll use a paint pen, but I'll use a fine tip one to mark that line, because we measure up and down off of that with a tape measure, and I want that line to be crisp. These other lines can get messed up, but I want to keep that one. But we also transfer that mark with a square to the backside, because you're going to need that marked on the backside as well for your clips, your weld clips. Anyhow, that's how I do the weld plates and shooting grade on the columns. And if anybody else has any suggestions, let me know. I'd like to hear it.